Parasocial friends, should we begin? Our main story, which is the farmers' protest. First, let us look at the visuals. Visuals coming in, friends. This is what is happening in Singhu border. So, lot of paramilitary forces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As far as I know, 5 layers of cement barricades. Then there are barbed wires. Then there is other barricades, and then people in the middle, of course, policemen in the middle, CRPF, RAF. This is RAF. Yes. Look at the battalion. So amazing. This is Rapid Action Force. And yeah, so clearly very confident this government is about, I guess, everything. This shows true confidence about how popular they are. They're very confident. Oh yeah, and they have like containers here. Sometimes when they run out of... containers are also filled with soil, by the way. Interesting detail I found out today, which is, oh no, not just containers. They are dumping soil into it so that people can't move it properly. Fun. Then there is, of course, when they run out of containers, they just park the JCBs in the middle to block it, or buses. They have gotten some buses and put like barbed wires on buses. They're making walls. So, yeah, it's crazy. This is crazy. This is what crazy looks like. This is a video that I did in the last protest, which was for News Laundry. Farmers answer dumb questions. I just wanted to show you. I'll take you through it धीरे धीरे. तुझे agriculture के बारे में कुछ आता नहीं है. And I was like, that's true. I genuinely don't. मुझे आता जो है वो सब किताबी knowledge है. Reports पढ़े बहुत सारे, bills पढ़ना आता है, etc. etc. So I have a lot of dumb questions about agriculture, to be honest. So I am going to the one place where I am going to get some answers. Right now we are heading to Singhu border. Yeah. To give you a little bit of a background, this protest started 2 months ago, but 10 days ago is when they on the farm protest. So Singhu border is when where we had gone music. So look at the. I just wanted to show you what was there last time so that you can compare as well. So lots of police, etc. We are walking towards the venue, right? This is us walking inside, and if you see, this is where the whole sort of protective layer started at the Singhu border. It goes on. Look at the amount of policemen here, etc. Once we cross it is when we get to the stage area. This is the stage area where a lot of people were coming. And there were a lot of media people who were stopped outside. The farmers were not letting them go inside because, of course, they were doing propaganda, which was very fun to watch. So this lady, for example, will ask a very nice question. So. Okay, music hai. I'm not going to play it because there's music. I don't know if it will be copyrighted, but yeah. So they were stopped outside. The mainstream media was stopped outside, TV media, because they were constantly calling them Khalistanis, terrorists, etc. So they were like, why would we let you come inside? And when we went inside, there were about 5 to 6 people who came up to us. And they were like, which media? And when we said News Laundry, some of them knew News Laundry. So they were like, Arey, of course, welcome. So, and then there's like, News Laundry is like, YouTube channel. Arey, YouTube channel, come. Where do you want to go? We will make you talk to people. We will be with you. We will feed you. We will do everything. So essentially, they also recognized who was sort of helping them versus demonizing them. And that was very evident. And it is happening even to a more extent this time from what I see. And I asked just very, very basic questions about what is MSP, what does a middleman do, why are they there, how are they running their shops, how are they running their langar. Oh no, he clarified it was not a shop. This gentleman here, just to give you an example, so it's an entire ecosystem that was happening.
देखिए ठीक है ना,
मास्क नहीं पहन रहे कोई, क्यों?
कोरोना वगैरह भगा दिया। अगर
आपने ये दुकान क्यों खड़ी कर दी यहाँ पर?
ये असल में दुकान नहीं है, दुकान वो होती है जहाँ पर चीज़ें बेची जाती हैं, ठीक है ना। यहाँ पर फ्री है सब कुछ, क्योंकि हम खुद किसान हैं। तो जो मोदी की सरकार जो 3 काले कानून लेकर आई है, उसके विरोध में जो हमारे भाई यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं, उनको जो मेडिकल फैसिलिटी है वो देने के लिए, और जो फ्री लिटरेचर है हिस्ट्री का, इसके साथ और जो उनकी डेली नीड्स हैं वो हमने यहाँ पर प्रबंध किया हुआ है, ताकि उन्हें किसी भी किस्म की यहाँ पर प्रॉब्लम ना आए।
कोविड चल रहा है, आपको कोविड की डर नहीं है?
So basically, they were not shops. They were genuinely like free services. They were operating on a gift economy. Everything from langar to everything, money didn't matter there. You just go in and basically they were helping you. And they were very helpful in general. Farmers were getting vegetables from their farms. They were making it in the langars and feeding people. And not just that, they were also not just the protesters, right? And this is what I thought was extremely beautiful about this protest.
तो फिर हम यहाँ पर अभी वापस जा रहे थे, तो वी स्पॉटेड अ लंगर हैपनिंग, और यहाँ पर बहुत सारे लोकल्स बैठे हैं। तो मुझे इसी के बारे में बात करना था कि प्रोटेस्ट में जो लोग आए हैं वो तो है ही, पर आप यहाँ पर लोकल्स को भी खाना खिला रहे हैं।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਇਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ 13 ਰੁਪਏ ਦਾ ਲੰਗਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ, ਇਸ ਲਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਲੰਗਰ ਦੀ ਮਰਿਆਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗਰੀਬ ਕੁਣਕਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਆਵੇ, ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਪੰਗਤ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ, ਚਾਹੇ ਅਮੀਰ ਜਾਂ ਗਰੀਬ, ਇੱਕ ਪੰਗਤ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਸਕਦਾ। ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਏਰੀਆ ਸਾਰਾ, ਇੱਥੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੇਬਰ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ है। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਭਾਗਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਕਾ ਟੁੱਟਾ ਵੀ, ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਲੰਗਰ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ, ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਆ ਕੇ लंगर छक के शीशा दे रहे भी, और हमसे पूछे भी कितने देर तक चलेगा। तो हम तो गुरु का लंगर है, लोग हमें लंगर देते हैं, हम तो सिर्फ सिखाते हैं। जितना गरीबों को सिखाएंगे, उनकी दुआ लगेगी, उतना हमारा बना। हमारे सिख धर्म का फलसफा है नाम जपना, कित करना और वंड सकना। ये जो लंगर है वंड सकना है। ये जो 10 रुपये देता है, उसका किसी के मुंह में लंगर जाता है गरीब के, तो वो गरीब उसको दुआ देता है, तो उसके ज़्यादा तरक्की होती है। इसलिए हमारे गुरु ने कहा भी अपना दसवंध जो आप कमाई करते हैं उसमें दसवंध निकाल के गरीबों को दो। उस फलसफे में हमारी ये लंगर चलता है। और लंगर में कुछ कोई गरीब है अमीर है, सब यहाँ सबको लौट है, किसी के लिए मना नहीं है।
आई एम हियर वेयर देयर इज अ लंगर प्रिपरेशन हैपनिंग।
So it was very interesting to see this, right? Which is not only were they protesting, but they had just created a community and a society even, which was completely running on gift economy. Seriously, that's kind of very interesting to see. Yeah, and everybody was happy. Yeah. They had schooling sessions for children last time. Yes, they had art festivals, they had schooling sessions, they had so many things happening there. Why so much security? Ye farmer are Indian na. So, I mean, that's the question, right? Why is there so much security there? Why is there this necessity? Oh, one more thing is happening, by the way. They are using new technology also to disperse the crowds, which is this. Drones are dropping tear gas now. Look at this. Look, that dropped. Those are those are tear gas dropping drones. Crazy. And our lovely farmers came up with a solution for that also. I'll show you. But I mean, I guess. Look at this. So now they started flying kites to prevent drones. Yeah, then farmers started flying kites. I mean, ingenious, I would say. So the drone couldn't come here. just I guess that's one way to fight the establishment. Fly kites. I mean, Modi flies kites all the time and he is the establishment. So maybe it can be used against the establishment also. Smart, very smart, very smart. Desi Iron Dome. pretty much. Just joined. Can anyone tell me why this protest is happening? No mainstream news is giving proper info. Avis Jarvis, you have come to the right place. I was just about to get into that, friend. I have a lot of things to tell you about this protest. I was just going through the visuals and what is happening currently. We will get to the narratives later. But this is what Madhura Swaminathan, who is the daughter of MS Swaminathan, who got the Bharat Ratna, said recently. And then we will get into what the protest is.
The farmers of Punjab today are marching to Delhi. I believe, according to the newspaper reports, there are jails being prepared for them in Haryana. There are barricades. There are all kinds of things being done to prevent them. These are farmers. They are not criminals. I request all of you, the leading scientists of India, have to talk to our Annadatas. We cannot treat them as criminals. We have to find solutions. Please, this is my request. I think if we have to continue and honor MS Swaminathan, we have to take the farmers with us in whatever strategy that we are planning for the future. Thank you.
So yeah, backgrounder being farmers' protest is happening for the second time. They have called this the Chalo Delhi protest, which is currently underway. They were supposed to reach Delhi on 13th, which was yesterday, or they started marching on the 13th. They were supposed to reach today, but the police and the establishment have started blocking them in multiple points. I will show you where. They have a few list of demands. I wouldn't say that they are exactly a new list of demands, because in 2020, 2021, when the protests actually happened, they were happening against the 3 farm laws that were introduced by the Modi government, the 3 Kale Kanun, as they call it, right? The basic premise of those laws was that they wanted the okay, I need to go into more background. Wait, so they wanted essentially to dismantle the current system of mandis and remove middlemen, so that corporations and big companies could come in and they could crack deals with farmers directly. So they were essentially opposing these 3 laws, right? And against corporatization of farming and agriculture, right? We will debate whether that is a good idea or not later, right? I'm just telling you the story first. So in 2021, the Modi government withdrew those laws. But at the same time, the farmers did not leave immediately. There was a reason why they were there for a few more days, because they wanted a guarantee from the government that they would resolve certain issues related to the agriculture sector. So in writing, they had given them certain assurances about minimum support price and other demands, which have not been fulfilled till now. So the reason why they are marching again is because what they promised in 2021 at the end of the protest has not been implemented. One of the major things they were asking for is the minimum support price guarantee. Now they want a law. So earlier they had just promised that they will give them more MSP and but didn't really say that they would bring in a law. But now they're demanding a proper law. Again, we will talk about all of that. Yeah, okay. So here's what happened in the last protest. Okay, so farmers began an year-long protest in 2020 against the government's move to introduce 3 controversial agriculture reforms. Farmers group called off their strike after the government scrapped the laws, agreed to discuss other demands, including guaranteed prices for produce and a withdrawal of criminal cases against protesters. So during the protest, there were a lot of criminal cases that were filed against protesters. So one of the demands was that you should withdraw it. The government had said, yes, we will take action on this and we will withdraw these criminal cases as well, which they haven't done either. Farmers did not leave the protest site immediately and continued the protest until the government gave them a formal letter, which they did, and that's why they dispersed. The government promised to form a committee to decide MSP issue, which would include representatives from federal and state governments, agriculture scientists, and farmer groups. Government has so far held 2 new rounds of talks with farm leaders. So they continue to say we will form a committee, yeah, They continue to say these things. Piyush Goyal has met farmers in Chandigarh as well. There are some ministers who are talking to farmers. Modi ji is going to UAE to inaugurate, Qatar, I guess, wherever, Middle East, to inaugurate a temple because important things. But there are ministers who are going and talking to these farm leaders as well, trying to figure out a solution. Apparently, it is not going well from the reports. It is not going well. Currently, the protest is kind of going nuts because it is not going well also. Why are they protesting? Yes. Now, what are their demands? Okay, so they want a minimum support price guarantee law. They want the Swaminathan committee formula to be implemented. They want farm loan waivers. They want rollback of two particular laws, which is the Land Acquisition Act and the draft Electricity Amendment Bill. Then they want justice for Lakhimpur Kheri. Remember that time where in Lakhimpur Kheri, this minister's son essentially ran over a bunch of farmers during an agitation and basically is currently in jail. But they want justice for that as well. They want pension for old farmers above 60 years. Withdrawal of cases, again, the same thing that they wanted. And they want 200 days of employment under Manrega and a daily wage of 700, and the scheme should be linked with farming. These are a few of the things they want. So we will go through them one by one. One by one. Producer G is also protesting. Mandis are wholesale markets, guys. Someone was asking. Okay. Let me explain simply how mandis work. Okay. In an ideal situation, ideally, what happens? So there is a farm. There is crop being grown. Farmer is growing crop. Farmer harvests crop. Farmer comes to you, sells you the crop. You bring it into your house, you cook it, and you eat it, and you're happy. Ideal. Simple, right? But that's not what happens because we do not live in an ideal world, friends. In case you noticed, we don't. Yes, we don't. What actually happens is farmer grows crops, but before that, they need land. So they either lease land or they buy land or they own small plots of land. Mostly about 80% of our farmers own very small plots of land, which is 2 hectares, about average 2 hectares of land. Now they have to put in seeds, fertilizer, water. They have to depend on seasons. They have to figure out labor while doing the whole farming, all those things, right? That is what goes into it. Then they have to wait for the crop to grow. Sometimes because of the season, the entire thing is washed away. Sometimes disasters happen. Nothing comes out of it. Crops fail. Natural disaster things. So if a small farmer, if that happens to a small farmer, they're done, right? Now, if assuming the crop is great, what they do is they take it to a market. Now, in the case of India, we have come up with this mandi system, an APMC. What happens at an APMC is that the seller, who is the farmer, and the buyer both come to this common marketplace and price discovery happens. What that means is price discovery is when the farmer offers the produce and there is an auction on it for a particular produce and a fair price is set there, right? So it is basically a negotiation forum of sorts, right? There are a bunch of middlemen who help you do this. Those are the Adathis as well, right? Now, once that is done, once they sell the produce to the buyer can take it to their factories, process it, or sell it directly to the consumer, or go through a line of wholesalers who make sure that your market gets it. And then your market, say, you pick it up, you bring it home, and you eat, right? The middle portion of it, what happens after the APMC, is where people keep adding their own value. So if the chain is long, say from the APMC, one buyer is buying, one wholesaler is buying, right? They take it to the district. Then another wholesaler will buy it, they take it to your town. Then another wholesaler will buy it and they take it to your local market. Then local market say there might be one thelawala who will pick it up, right? And then that comes to you. So in this entire process, a 10 rupees thing that was sold at the APMC might come to you for like 100 rupees. Basically, like there's massive inflation that happens because of this whole chain of people who are taking value from the produce that they're getting, right? The thing is, from farmer to APMC, farmers basically have this safety net, which is called an MSP, which is minimum support price. So when the price discovery is going on, when the haggling is going on, your goods is worth this much, that much, the ceiling is set, or the lower ceiling is set, where the price cannot go beyond a certain point. So that the farmer who has put in cost, who has put in all this fertilizer, etc., is at least supposed to recover that. If not make profit, at least they will be able to plant the next crop, because they will at least get the MSP, the safety net. If they want to sell for more than that, if there is more demand, then of course they can. But at the same time, the buyer cannot force them to go below it. What these three farm laws were doing was that this entire business, they were giving permission for it to happen outside. Some of the states have made it mandatory for these price discoveries to happen in the mandis. Some of them have removed it, like Bihar and Maharashtra being particularly two states, which destroyed this whole MSP, not the MSP, but the mandi system. And that led to disastrous results where corporations were coming in and bullying the farmers to sell it at like below their cost also. That has happened because you have to understand, when a corporation negotiates with a small 2-hectare farmer or even 10 of them, they have the power there. Right? They can bully those farmers into reducing the prices, and the farmers would be desperate, so they would sell it to them anyway. So this farm law was big. These three farm laws were being brought in to basically allow the farmers to sell it outside the mandi also. It was not compulsory to sell it out within the mandi or outside. They could do both. That's what the laws were, right? But the farmers were arguing that, if you have to sell at a mandi, then, if you have to sell it outside, right, where your crop is getting sold to a private player, etc., and they offer you maybe lower prices, etc., they will not want to go to the mandi, and it will completely erase the concept of price discovery. So even in the mandi, the prices will fall. So both sides, you will basically suffer. Right? Because the price discovery is happening elsewhere and there is no MSP there. So, yeah. So that's the whole point. That's why they were essentially agitating. Now what they're saying is that they want this whole MSP thing to be turned into a law. Okay. So the MSP, minimum support price, is a safety net. They want it to be turned into a law. Right? MSP assurance was one of the reasons why the protest ended last time. Yeah. Government has fixed this year's minimum support price for wheat at 2,275 rupees per 100 kg, which is 7% higher than 2023, by the way. So the government has been giving more MSP. That's not the problem. They are increasing it. They are giving more MSP. But out of the 23 crops that have an MSP, they have been just doing it for 2 crops, which is wheat and rice. Of the 23 crops, there are 7 cereals: paddy, wheat, maize, bajra, jowar, ragi and barley. 5 pulses: chana, adhad, mung, udad and masur. 7 oil seeds: groundnut, soybean, rapeseed, mustard, sesame, sunflower, Niger and safflower. And 4 commercial crops, which is sugarcane, cotton, copra, and jute. So these are the ones. But for wheat and paddy are the only ones that MSP kind of works. And there is a big reason for that. Government buys it to feed 80 crore people. Ration. Yes. Okay. Another little rabbit hole that I need to get into here. Okay. So, let's say 100 crop comes to a market, right? 100 crop comes to a market. Where is it going, right? So one, the government buys it. The government buys wheat and rice because they are feeding 80 crore people ration. Yeah. So the government needs to buy it from the farmers. They buy it at MSP. Okay. So they take away a bunch of it. Then there is another portion which is taken away by the farmers themselves. Always remember that the number of people dependent on farming in India is 50%, about 50%, 46 to 50%, right? And these small farmers, the tiny ones, what happens is that when they grow the crop, usually they are the ones who end up consuming it also. So there is no commercial value to it. In Bihar, this is a big problem, right? And Prashant Kishore keeps talking about it. That there are small farmers who are growing crop and they are eating the crop that they are grown. So it is not commercially viable. So the men in the house basically have to go and work elsewhere. So migrant labor is one of the big reasons for migration is that it is not sustainable. And 2-hectare plots, etc., small farmers, they just grow crop to eat themselves. So out of the 100 crop, one giant portion of it goes towards feeding themselves, right? Then there is the other portion, which is collected by wholesalers and commercial entities and factory people. So either they take it for processing, or they take it to sell it to a market, or they take it processing, market, or either they store it, right? Or they export it, right? So these are the few things that happens. So first is, again, government buys it, 80 crore people free ration or cheap ration. A lot of people consume it themselves, and the commercial people take it away. Okay. What these farmers now essentially want, farmers want that MSP guaranteed law would ensure that that portion which is going away to the corporations and private players also, that also comes under MSP, right? They want the mandi system to be implemented across the country, and they want even private players to buy crop at MSP, right? So they have been saying that there are still instances where the farmers have to sell for a lower price than MSP. So that is there. And the other thing is, you are right now, the government is only buying two things, which is rice and wheat. They want them to buy two more things, which is dal and the oil seeds, right? The pulses and the oil seeds. So then 4 crops will have MSP, which the government is using to buy. And this law will sort of guarantee that they get the MSP for these crops, right? That is what the demand is in Toto. Now, let's come to the Swaminathan committee report. Don't worry, friends. After I'm done, I'm going to go up and look at your comments. I know there is a lot of questions there. I'll do that. So, right now, so MSP price, how is that safety net price decided, right? So the current formula is that direct cost, which is, fertilizer, seeds, etc., which is like material cost that is going into growing the crop, and labor cost, right, which is like the people who are working on the farm, their salaries, all the things, wages, etc., into 1.5, and that is the MSP, that is the minimum support price, right? But in 2006 actually, a Swaminathan report committee had come out, was formed, and they came out with a report. MS Swaminathan was leading it. He got a Bharat Ratna recently. His daughter we heard before. They suggested a different formula to calculate the MSP. What they said is that not only should you take the direct cost, you should also take the labor cost, but at the same time, you should add one more thing to it, which is interest on the value of the land, if you own the land, or if you are leasing it and renting it, that should also become a part of the formula and should decide the MSP, right? So the idea is that if they included this little thing, then the current MSP will increase by about 50%, right? So it is called it is called the C2 plus 50% formula. Okay. So that is the new formula, and the farmers are saying that this new formula is the one that needs to be implemented on the current current sale of crops through MSP. The factors considered by CACP. So CACP is the one that calculates this. This is the organization, right? So they calculate this using cost of production, domestic international prices, demand supply conditions, intercrop price parity, terms of trade between agriculture and non-agriculture sectors. But they do not include the value of land or the lease amount or the rent amount into it, right? So I found this very helpful chart to just show you what the new formula would look like. So if you take wheat, the current MSP, which is announced, is 2,275. If you apply the new formula, it will go up by about 200 rupees. Okay. Then barley 1850, and this will go up to 2,400 rupees, which is 600 more. There is gram, which will go up to 6,820, lentil from 6,400 to 7,300. Rapeseed, which will go up from 5,600 to 6,100, and of course safflower, which will go up from 5,800 to 8,121. Okay, so again there is a differential here, because crop inputs and etc., land value, etc., everything is very different. Okay, so yeah, this is the basic thing that they want from the this government. They want the Swaminathan committee formula to be implemented on the current calculation of MSP. Okay. Other than that, they want farm loan waivers. So because a lot of farmers have taken loans and due to crop failure, etc., they were not able to repay the loans. So they want like a total wipe clean of the farm loans that were taken. They want it to be waived. Right. And then they want rollback of two main laws, which is, one is the Land Acquisition Act. So Land Acquisition Act was changed after Modi ji came to power. Two things were removed. One was the environmental impact survey. So there was a condition in the earlier Land Acquisition Act that if you take over a land, you need to take a consent of the people who were on that land in written. And also you need to do like a proper assessment of how taking over that land will affect the lives of the people, and also try to relocate them and also give them fair compensation, right? What they are saying that we need to revert back to that because Modi ji kind of neutered the whole thing. And they said that the compensation rates that are being given currently for the land that is being acquired, especially from smaller farmers, is not enough. They want compensation at 4 times the collector's rate, and also written consent from farmers before acquisition, right? So the government shouldn't just come in and take over the land for nation building and development work. They need to take the consent of people. Then the electricity amendment bill, basically it's a draft bill, which says that the subsidies, which says that the distribution of power will also be done by private companies. Right now, the transmission and the production is allowed by private companies, but distribution is mainly handled by the government-run PPP model things. What will happen is that if it is privatized, then subsidies go away. So a lot of state governments are giving subsidies like 300 rupees free electricity, 300 unit tak free electricity, or less electricity, or farmers get free electricity, all those things. So farmers are saying that once you give it to private players, the subsidies will go down or completely be eradicated. And also the benefits that they are currently getting will be reduced. The other party that is opposing this are the states themselves, because they're like, it is a concurrent subject and you're taking it away from us and you're centralizing it, which is kind of unfair. So yeah, those are the two things. Lakhimpur Kheri, as I already said, Ajay Mishra Teni is the MOS of Home Affairs. They want him dismissed, and they want compensation for the 4 farmers who died. They want pension for old farmers above 60 years 10,000 rupees a month, DBT, right? Withdrawal of cases of protesters, I already told you. And they want 200 days instead of 100 for Manrega, and they want specifically farms to be linked to the Manrega scheme. So when you are employing farm labor, the government kind of guarantees that their work is also comes under Manrega. So these are the general demands made by the farmers. Why don't the government buy all the crops directly from the farmers at MSP and then auction it with wholesaler win-win in both situations? Ranaditya, that's a very interesting question, because one of the extra updates I had was about that. I will just go into that. I think it's a good time to talk about it. So, what the farmers are saying, first, there is a narrative related to it. So, one of the things that a lot of Godi media and the government has been saying is that if MSP is implemented, it will cause a loss of 10 lakh crore extra bill if it is implemented. Yeah, that's completely false, because I don't think they have really realized what they are saying. Because you have to understand, MSP, when the government actually buys the crop on MSP, yeah, it is to run a giant scheme, which is 80 crore people getting food. Yeah, so that cost is kind of worth it. Okay, and it is not going to be 10 lakh crore if all of the MSP is implemented on all 23 crops, which is not going to happen anyway. But it is not going to just go to waste, right? People are still going to buy the crop, right? Like, there will be private players who will buy it, there will be other processing units who will buy it, there will be government who will buy it and use it to feed people, there will be normal consumers who will buy it. So they will buy it, they will use it, process it, add value to it, and still bring it out in the market. So the government spending money on MSP is not exactly like a loss-making thing which it is being made to be seen, right? Also, they're not even asking for the entire amount of crops to be sold at MSP. They're not, right? So I read a bunch of articles. I went through a lot of statements that are coming out over the last few years about how MSP should be implemented. And this is what I got from it. So right now, as I said, they want, right now wheat and rice is getting MSP. They want pulses and oil seeds at MSP. Yeah. And they also want it to be included in ration. So not only will the government buy pulses and oil seeds, but they would also make it a part of the 80 crore people who they are feeding. I say reasonable, right? Just because, I mean, dal and oil also very essential. So that is there. Now, there was another scheme that was there before called the Market Intervention Scheme. Okay. What happens in a market intervention scheme is, so mandi mein, when there is a price discovery happening, yeah, when there is like this auction happening, the government is watching. Okay. Now, if the auction price doesn't, if the auction price is above MSP level, then they have no problem. They don't need to do anything because the fair price is being set by the market, right? But if fluctuations happen, and the price falls, right? It goes below MSP. That is when basically the government comes in and buys a portion of it. So they don't buy like 100% of MSP to stabilize the price. They will buy like 5%, 7%, enough to move the needle back up to like the safety net level. Demand and supply, right? So if they take away the goods, if the government takes away a bunch of goods by buying it, the supply reduces, the demand and supply come closer, and then it goes above the safety net, which is the MSP, right? And again, that can be only 5 to 7% of intervention of buying that, right? Now, this whole scheme was shut down by the Modi government last year. Okay. They have proposed and started piloting another scheme, which I think is actually better, is there is this deficit payment scheme, which they are trying out, right? What happens is, now, if the price falls below MSP, the government will just bear the loss. So they will not technically buy the goods, right? So the farmer will still sell it to the person who is willing to buy it at whatever price. But the remaining amount, which is below the MSP, that can be filled by the government. So that the farmer doesn't face the loss, the government absorbs the loss for themselves. And the farmer gets like price up till the MSP, and the buyer gets to buy it in whatever price they are trying it out on. The only thing is it becomes really complicated implementation wise. They tried to do this in Haryana and apparently it is working. Again, not much data there to show for, but at the same time, it's an interesting approach. So technically, the government doesn't need to buy the whole thing and keep it in their go down. They just need to, have like this cushion for the farmers to protect them from massive losses. Big corporates refuse to buy it, and because time is money, the farmers were ultimately forced to sell at lower prices. Yes, that is another thing. So, Yash, good point, right? So the way price negotiations can happen is the corporation has the advantage of essentially making sure that the farmers become more and more desperate. So for example, a vegetable farmer, right? A vegetable farmer, when they're growing their crop, they know that there is a shelf life. What corporations can do is they can offer cold storage services, right? So a normal farmer, a poor farmer might not be able to afford cold storage services. So they know the point where their crop will start to spoil. So when they reach that point is when these corporations can come in, grab the whole thing, say that we are going to put it in cold storage, but at the same time you have to sell it to us for cheap. So that is what happens when corporations basically, obviously corporations want to increase their profits also. So they wait for the poor farmer to essentially go to a desperate level, and then that is how negotiations take place, right? So to prevent that is why the MSP exists. They want a guarantee so that even if the corporation wants to come and buy this at this situation, they can not go below the safety net. Case study for this already exists, which is the state of Bihar, which turned small farmers into laborers in states like Punjab and Haryana. Exactly, Chintan. Like the one big reason for migrant laborers going out of Bihar is non-implementation of MSP. MSP should cover all 22 crops. Manu, so, I mean, opinion is divided on that, but I feel like the thing that they have suggested, which is wheat, rice, pulses, and oil seeds, if you buy them on MSP and make it a part of the ration, I feel like that's a great idea. Because, of course, you're already giving ration to 80 crore people. Yeah, so then you add like pulses and oilseeds on MSP so that farmers are also helped and people are also fed. Making MSP a legal right for all crops is absolute stupidity. Ms. is awesome. Ms., so the thing is, I don't think it's realistically possible to make it for all crops. Right? And that's why I think the selective crop approach is actually a great idea. I mean, there are ways to negotiate this also, right? The point of this whole thing is not that every farmer will sell it at MSP, right? The point is that in an ideal scenario, crop will always be sold above MSP levels. So that the farmer also benefits and the buyer also comes to a fair price when they're buying it, right? So there needs to be a profit margin for the farmer also. Yeah. So it should be a little above the MSP. MSP should be a safety net. That is the whole point. Shanta Kumar committee also recommended outside selling should be allowed. Small farmers doesn't have enough margin to spend on transportation for taking produce to APMCs. That's why out. So Atul, I do agree. There are some problems with, I mean, in theory, the 3 laws that were brought in were a good idea. In theory, right? I would say that it is in theory, fair market, fair price being set outside, jo bhi hai, right? But in reality, given the current circumstance of small farmers in India, etc., either being forced to sell their land or having to use their land only for self-sustenance and then going outside and working to make up for it, then in this scenario, I don't think having like corporations coming in is a good idea, because there will be just a giant land grab and also exploitation happening across the board, which should be avoided. farmers are not even asking the government to buy, but rather anyone who buys pays MSP minimum. Exactly. So the government is already doing it for two crops, right? They want the MSP law should be applied across the board, especially so that private players cannot drive the price down also. There should be like a safety net there. Why doesn't the government buy all the crop directly from farmers at MSP and then auction it with the wholesaler? Win-win situation for both. Ranaditya, it is not a good idea because if the government buys all the crop and puts it in a warehouse, that adds to warehousing cost. It is not a good idea. And also, then the price discovery will not happen properly when the government is involved. Because the government technically should not operate on a profit motive. So they can just crack deals with corporations and then do whatever. Plus, there is also the chance that they will just buy it and it will not get sold. Also, I do believe in this thing about the government not being in business. I don't think the government should do business. The government should regulate business. They shouldn't do business themselves. You are only presenting one-sided view. I supported CAA NRC protest, but not this, Atul. It's fine if you don't support this protest, Atul. I'm just giving you information as I have collected. And of course, I have sympathies in favor of the farmers. And of course, I am anti-establishment. So I'm going to talk from that sort of lens as well. If you want pro-establishment views, then you go look at, I'll show you one pro-establishment view, which I think you will be very proud of. Look at this. This is Meg Updates, who is saying, big revelation by one of the professional leaders of farmers' protest, Tejveer Singh, right? We are fighting the opposition battle. We want to change this government. Okay, watch the video.
के लिए तैयार था इस तानाशाह सरकार के खिलाफ मैं आपको दो बातें स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं कि मुद्दे सबके हैं जो पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस हैं उनके मुद्दे हैं अग्निवीर है उनका वन पेंशन का रैंक है किसान मजदूर सब की लड़ाई लड़ रहा है खिलाड़ियों की लड़ाई लड़ रहा है मणिपुर में जो दंगे हुए थे उनके लिए किसान खड़े हुए नूह के दंगों को रोकने के लिए किसान खड़े हुए अब मजदूरों के लिए पूरे विपक्ष की लड़ाई किसान लड़ रहे हैं जिसकी आज आगाज हो चुका है मैं आपको एक बात बता देना चाहता हूं कि इतिहास रहा है चाहे वो अन्ना आंदोलन हो चाहे वो चंपारण का आंदोलन हो चाहे गुरु का बाग का मोर्चा हो चाहे चाबियों का मोर्चा हो आंदोलनों से नेता पैदा होते हैं नेताओं से आंदोलन नहीं होता ये कल तय कर दिया जाएगा और आने वाले समय में आप देखेंगे कि ये आंदोलन इस देश की दिशा इस देश का राजनीतिक जो भूगोल है वो बदलने का काम करेगा और लोग एक नई देश को देखेंगे जिसके साथ हमारी एकता हरियाणा पंजाब भाईचारा और देश के अंदर किसान मजदूर की और कमेरे की बात होगी बहुत
So what this fellow was saying was that we are fighting the fight of everyone. Yeah, they did not agree with our demands, so therefore we are protesting. But at the same time, we do realize that people in Manipur are protesting, where wrestlers are protesting. We are also standing up for them. Yeah, and we are protesting against this government. We are the opposition. We meaning the farmers are now the opposition against this government, is what he was saying. What Meg Updates, the pro-establishment person basically handle is saying, big revelation. Apparently this is big revelation. A professional leader. We are fighting the opposition's battle. We want to change the government. So Atul was his name, right? Atul, so this is pro-establishment narrative. So if you want to look at pro-establishment narrative, you can go here to people like Meg Updates and get them. Okay. But the fact is, what the guy said is right. If in a democracy 101, in a democracy, when people do not agree with something that the government is doing and their promises are not fulfilled, the people have a right to protest. And that is what they are doing. Yeah. Democracy 101. And for someone like me, who is doing a live stream talking about the news, etc., I keep telling people that my ideology, general ideology and approach is anti-establishment. So I will side with the people who are against the establishment. In this case, the farmers. So yeah, I will give you those sort of views with that lens. If you want government views, you can go to government. I'm not the government, friend. Yeah. Our friend Himanta Bishwa Sharma also shared this, which is the same thing, right? You know, look at this Mercedes ka symbol. Are they farmers or dacoits? Farmers. Right? Again, see, target the messenger so that the message is lost. Yeah. This was and our friend Mohammed Zubair has also corrected him. Owner of this car is an entrepreneur. This image was viral in 2022 with a false claim by BJP members that this Jeep is a Mercedes Benz worth 1.5 crore, but it is an SUV Gurkha by Force Motors. Alt News had spoken to Manpreet Singh, a resident of Anandpur. He is an entrepreneur and his family members are farmers. But of course, Himanta Bishwa Sharma, Congressiyon ke Papa is what he calls himself now. Used the 2020 image to do exactly that, which is kill the messenger. Raga is right on Himanta. I was eagerly waiting for you. Thank you, Ritesh. Hello, hello. Okay, just going to show you a few maps and then I will start the members chat. Yeah. I have some maps for you. Maps. So, you know, you will hear a lot of, places. Like basically you will hear about a lot of places which you might not be familiar with. So I thought you should be familiar with them. Yeah. So, okay. So you will hear a lot right now. You must be hearing about the Singhu border. So this is Delhi, right? And you can see like the light outline here, which is the Delhi NCR area pura. Here, right? Basically the Union Territory area pura. Yeah. It goes SA. So this is where Singhu is, which is north, right? This is where Tikri is. Wait, I'm confusing. Wait. Fail. This is where Ghazipur is. This is Ghazipur here on the east. The west is the Tikri border and north is the Singhu border. Okay. So this is where main action is happening right now. This is the way to Gurgaon. Here, this whole thing that you see, this crossing, little crossing, this is where there is massive bandobast right now of the police. Yeah. But it's not closed technically, but there is a lot of police there right now. So right now they've sealed off all these 3 places which will let them enter Delhi. Okay. So again, this is New Delhi. It's zoomed out. Yeah. Right now, the action that you are seeing is basically happening here and here. Right. This is Punjab. This is Haryana. This road goes all the way to Delhi. So they are taking this route. They're coming from Rajapura all the way here, Kurukshetra, Karnal, Sonipat, and coming all the way to Delhi, or trying. So they were stopped here last time. Here, right? Right now they've been stopped here. So there's still such a long way to go. Okay. This is the other border where they're being stopped, this area, right? The other one that they are also like stopping people, there was one more here somewhere, Bahal, I think. Sivani and Bahal. So these are another 2 places where there is some action happening right now. So farmers are trying to come from all over the place to New Delhi, but especially Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, and Uttar Pradesh. Yeah. So Punjab being the major influx. So there are 2 places where action is happening. The scenes that you are seeing of drones and everything is happening here. This is the Shambhu border. Okay. So so reports are saying that from this Shambhu border till Singhu border, there are checkpoints at every 5 to 6 kilometers, barricading and checkpoints. So there is still a long way for the farmers to go. Long way. Extra updates. One thing that I wanted to also flag. So when the 2020 protests happened, it was led by the SKM, which is the Sanyukta Kisan Morcha. After 2021, some events happened, some disagreements happened, and there was a little bit of a split. So this protest that has been called was is called by a bit of a split away group from the SKM called SKM non-political. Okay, they are the ones who are doing the Challo Dilli thing. Then there are a few others which are SKM, the main one, and others who have called a Bharat Bandh on the 16th. So both of them are protesting for the same thing, which is the MSP. They want an MSP law, but they're using different methods. Another update is that the Congress has announced that they are going to implement the Swaminathan formula when they come to power and make a guaranteed MSP law. Yeah. Of course, people are asking if Swaminathan committee report came during your time. Why didn't you implement it during your time? Why hasn't Modi ji done it? So it's bizarre because Modi ji, before he became PM, he was actually a part of a committee that was trying to figure out agriculture reforms, and one of his biggest demands was a MSP law, and he wanted MSPs to be implemented for all crops. And now in 2014, the Congress is the one who is saying we want MSP law, and Modi is like, let's talk, committee, all the things. So basically, the farmers at this point are like, yaar, kya hi kare? Matlab, this one we tried, nobody is doing it. So we are coming to the streets now, and we are going to make this happen, just one way or another. So I can imagine the desperation. If you understand, there have been farmers, and I met them in the protest also, who are no fans of Congress, by the way. They were like, listen, this is not about the Congress. We have seen Congress time. They were equally against us. They equally didn't want MSP. वहाँ पे तो बहुत कचरा था. मोदी जी ने भी यही कर लिया, BJP government ने. Now what is the option left? We have to come to the streets. Make someone listen. So Congress is, of course, saying right now that they'll implement the MSP law, but of course, when they come to power, they'll be like, "Arey, too much, guys, so much budget. We don't have budget." Let me tell you about the budget. Freaking budget. So 10 lakh crore, I've already talked to that, right? Let's look at the corporation, how much benefit the corporates have gotten in the last few years, the Modi term, right? There is a product link incentive scheme. You should look it up. They have given 1.5 lakh crore for it, right? It is basically like an incentive scheme, which is aimed at increasing manufacturing, etc. Basically like a subsidy. Reduction in corporate tax, 4 years ago they reduced it. Apparently it has it has allowed the corporations to keep like 1.5 lakh crore rupees in taxes, which ideally should have gone to the government. So that's like 3 lakh crore right there. Loan write-offs in the last 10 years, 14 lakh crore has been written. No, they don't call it write-offs anymore. They don't call it like Karja Maafi or whatever. You know what they call it? They call it a haircut. We are rationalizing. Guys, we are doing a small haircut of the NPA's haircut. Look at the language. It is, so for farmers, it is minimum support price. Yeah. Makes it look like, oh my God, we have to save our farmers, yada, yada, yada. But when it comes to corporations and giving them money, it is haircut. It is product link incentive scheme. Yeah. It is incentivizing corporations for getting in foreign direct investment by reducing tax. See what I mean? Language also matters. So when farmers are basically saying that they need like an MSP implementation, the estimates say that it can maximum current plan, the implementation plan, which I explained, they calculate that it will not go above 1.5 lakh crore. It will not go above that. Right now it's at 70 lakh crore. It will probably double, right? If we implement the new formula, but 1.5 lakh crore, it will not go above that. Our corporate friends have already gotten many, many times of that from the government. See, that's what I mean. Socialism for the rich. Socialism for the rich. Demonization for the poor. Demonize. demonize the farmers, demonize, but nobody will talk about like corporations just getting money from the government under product link incentive scheme. We do haircuts. We do haircuts, friends. Corporations need our help because we do haircuts. We're barbers. Barbers. And you know what farmers get, you know what our farmers get, right? Tear gas drones. Vijayta has done an excellent report on this. Haryana police is the first police force in India to use drones to launch tear gas drones. Drones made by Drishya, a public listed company set up in 2021 to survey infra projects monitoring of agriculture crops. They were used to drop grenades. I mean, monitoring agriculture crops, dropping tear gas on farmers. I guess that's the same thing, right? That's the same thing. Drone-based tear gas smoke launcher to control riots and for other crowd control situation was developed by the TSU of the BSF in 2022, but it has not been sold to any state force yet. Officials said it is possible Haryana procured the smoke launcher from a private vendor. Tear smoke canisters launched from the UAV or drone were however made at TSU in Tekanpur, Madhya Pradesh. And a lot of reports are coming in that they were expired. They were using chili bombs and whatever, they're using rubber bullets, which were used in Manipur recently. Yeah, they're using rubber bullets here, which are like these giant cannon type looking things which they fire from a shotgun apparently. There are of course tear gas canisters. Some of them were expired because of course they didn't remove the expiry date. Kyun karna hai? So they expired like 2022. Chili tear gas, very, very fun things. And basically people have been complaining that the water that is being used in the cannons is also like hurting them and making them itchy, and apparently that has chemicals in it. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. Or maybe they just picked it up from, grand rivers, clean rivers like Yamuna, and where there is some heavenly foam that happens. Or you don't know what that water is, where that water is coming from. But yeah, haircut is important to be consistent with basal norms. Atul, so haircut is important. Then let's also like give haircut to farmers, no? Loan waiver, please. Can we waive off all the loans of farmers? Haircut, yeah. Basal norms or whatever else reason you want to call it, yeah. Haircut is basically loan maafi, right? It's a nice way to say loan maafi. So farmers ko de do fir. I feel like they should draft an alternate demand list with all these fun things, like total haircut for farmers. Then people like Atul and other people will be like, yeah, that makes sense. Basal norms. We need to think about basal norms. We need to think about markets and price stabilization. And business is risk. It is so risky to business. Please save our people with haircuts. Maybe that will convince them. Farmers from Karnataka were trying to go to Delhi to join the protest through train, but were stopped at a Bhopal and beaten up and arrested. I saw that, Hack Baba. There are reports that there are some farmers that were coming from Karnataka. They were stopped in Madhya Pradesh, pulled out of a train, beaten up and thrown in jail. There were some 15 people. One train was coming from Karnataka and one was, I think, coming from Kerala, if I'm not wrong. Both were stopped. So, fun times. Corporations are making money, farmers are a liability on the government. DK Jangir, oh really? Corporations are making money? Wow. Have you heard of this term called over-leveraged? Do you know what that means? DK Jangir, over-leveraged means बहुत कर्जा है. It is running on karja. It is running on loans. So who is that a burden on? Banks. Sometimes when those karja they can't pay back, it's like they get haircuts. Over leveraged haircuts. That's what happens. What world are you living in? Seriously. Do you not understand late stage capitalism, man? That is how it works. We all support late stage capitalism, DK Jangir. We all do. We want more people to join this late stage capitalism bandwagon and become 100 billionaires. Everybody should be 100 billionaire, friends. Exactly, debt equity ratio is screwed. Anish, when you say things like this debt equity ratio and all, na, people zone out. So what you should say is, उन्होंने लोन लिया, दिया नहीं वापस, तो हेयर कट कर लिया, मतलब दिया ही नहीं वापस. That is what debt equity ratio in weird simplified ways. Right? Burden on government, it seems. But we are all burdens on government technically then. All of us. All of us are burdens on government. अरे यार रोड बनवाते यार, such a burden. These citizens are such a burden on us. Why? Oh my God, infrastructure. Oh, you want an 8-lane highway? Such a burden you are on me. Oh, you want an airport in Azamgarh? Oh my God, such a burden. Everybody is such a burden. They just make me do things only. That's what the government should say. Crazy idea, hear me out. What about the government working for the people and not capital? Karthik, good one. Good one, friend. Good one. I mean, it's a very novel idea. It's incredible how you can come up with such thoughts. I love it.